Chicago winters were unforgiving, and life had been no kinder to Adam Williams and Ryan Carter. Raised through different foster homes, they learned early how fragile stability was. As adults, they shared a cramped apartment on the South Side, surviving paycheck to paycheck. Adam worked long nights at a convenience store, dreaming of something better, while Ryan handled private security jobs, always watching, always alert. Adam believed honesty and patience could change his future. He saved every dollar, imagining his own small store someday. Ryan saw the world differently. He believed power ruled everything, and kindness was often punished. Despite opposite views, they completed each other. Adam calmed Ryan's temper, while Ryan protected Adam from being too trusting. Neither realized how quickly their fragile balance was about to collapse. One quiet evening, Mark Reynolds entered Adam's store. He was confident, sharply dressed, followed by two silent men. Mark was a businessman with influence that bent laws easily. He demanded weekly protection money, speaking calmly as if it were routine. Adam refused with respect, but firmness. Mark smiled slightly. "This city doesn't reward courage," he said before leaving, his threat hanging in the air. 3 nights later, flames tore through the convenience store. Adam was inside when smoke filled the room, burning his lungs and blinding his vision. He escaped seconds before the ceiling collapsed. By morning, the store was ashes. Security footage was gone. Insurance refused payment. In one night, Adam lost his job, savings, and dream. The hospital ceiling became his world, cold and silent. Ryan stood beside Adam's hospital bed, his anger controlled but dangerous. He knew Mark Reynolds was responsible. Every instinct pushed him toward immediate revenge. But Adam stopped him. "If we rush, we'll lose everything," Adam whispered weakly. Ryan nodded without speaking. His rage didn't fade, it hardened. From that moment, revenge was no longer emotional. It became patient, silent, and precise. Adam was discharged from the hospital with scars that reached deeper than his skin. He took a dishwashing job at a small cafe, standing quietly in the background while life moved on. Customers laughed, cups clinked, and hope felt distant. Ryan continued his security work, but his focus had shifted. He began watching Mark Reynolds carefully, tracking routines, movements, and hidden connections that most people never noticed. Ryan started noticing patterns that others ignored. Warehouses operating late at night, trucks without logos, meetings that never appeared on records. Mark Reynolds was powerful, but power always left traces. Ryan documented everything quietly, never rushing. Adam listened at night as Ryan spoke in fragments, slowly understanding that revenge was no longer about anger. It was about patience, control, and choosing the right moment. Months passed, and Adam changed. He spoke less and watched more. Using a simple fake resume, he applied for a low-level job at one of Mark's smaller companies. No one noticed him. That was the advantage. He blended in, followed instructions, and learned how corruption hid behind normal office routines. Every detail he saw became another silent weapon stored for later use. From inside the company, Adam witnessed bribes disguised as bonuses, fake invoices signed without question, and employees who were too afraid to speak. Ryan, meanwhile, traced financial trails through encrypted systems and offshore accounts. Separately, the information meant little. Together, it formed a complete picture. Still, they waited. Mark Reynolds believed time protected him. That belief made him careless. Mark Reynolds moved through Chicago like a king, confident and untouchable. Politicians smiled beside him, investors praised him publicly, and rumors died quickly around his name. Adam and Ryan watched from the shadows, calm and disciplined. They knew exposure worked best when the target felt safest. The final move would not be loud or violent. It would be clean, undeniable, and impossible to escape. The perfect opportunity came during a high-profile gala in downtown Chicago. Mark Reynolds was the honored guest, surrounded by powerful investors and city officials. That same night, anonymous encrypted files containing financial records, illegal dealings, and hidden accounts were sent to federal agencies, banks, and journalists. Adam and Ryan watched quietly as their silent plan unfolded perfectly. By morning, chaos erupted across Chicago. Federal agents raided Mark's offices, freezing bank accounts and arresting key associates. News channels broadcasted his name relentlessly. Investors panicked. Power abandoned him quickly. Mark's influence, built over decades, dissolved in hours. He realized too late that the invisible force against him was calculated, patient, and unstoppable. Mark frantically tried calling allies, but no one responded. His carefully constructed empire crumbled faster than he could react. Employees, partners, and enforcers were detained. The city watched as the untouchable businessman became a subject of public scrutiny and legal action. For Adam and Ryan, the long months of planning were paying off silently, without a single shot fired. Handcuffed outside his penthouse, Mark Reynolds finally confronted reality. Cameras flashed, reporters shouted questions, and neighbors stared in disbelief. Adam and Ryan observed from a distance. Adam's face was calm, almost peaceful. Ryan's eyes reflected relief. Mark understood that his downfall wasn't chance, it was consequence, delivered with precision by those he had underestimated. Weeks passed as the legal system did its work. Charges were undeniable, evidence overwhelming. Mark Reynolds was sentenced to decades in federal prison. His associates were dispersed, his wealth seized, and his name tarnished. The city moved on. Yet for Adam and Ryan, the story had finally reached a satisfying end. Silent patience had replaced anger, and justice had been delivered without compromise. With Mark Reynolds imprisoned and his empire crumbling, Chicago returned to its daily rhythm. Streetlights flickered, cars honked, and life continued. But for Adam and Ryan, the months of silent observation and planning had given them a sense of closure. They had not just survived, they had rewritten the rules, proving that patience and intelligence could defeat even the most powerful adversaries. Adam decided to rebuild his life. He opened a small cafe near the location of his destroyed store. The sign read "New Beginnings." Inside, the aroma of coffee and fresh pastries filled the air. Customers chatted quietly. Adam smiled genuinely for the first time in months. Ryan often visited, observing the peaceful life they had fought to reclaim, knowing the shadows of the past could never touch them again. Ryan enjoyed his visits to New Beginnings. Sitting by the window, sipping his coffee, he watched life unfold outside. He observed people laughing, children walking to school, and traffic passing without concern. There was no rush, no fear, only calm observation. Adam often joined him silently, both men appreciating a quiet victory that needed no celebration, only reflection and understanding. The two friends rarely spoke about the past. Revenge had been executed without bloodshed, yet it had left a permanent mark. They didn't need to recount every detail. Silence spoke volumes. The city moved on, unaware of the careful planning that had toppled a powerful man. For Adam and Ryan, life was simple again, safe, quiet, and full of small, precious moments that made every sacrifice worthwhile. One evening, Ryan broke the silence. "We didn't become the people we despised," he said softly. Adam smiled, feeling a weight lift from his shoulders. The past was behind them. Their strategy, patience, and intelligence had ensured justice without losing themselves. In that moment, they understood that real victory wasn't vengeance, it was reclaiming life, dignity, and peace in a world that often demanded compromise. Months after reopening the cafe, Adam and Ryan settled into a predictable rhythm. Life was quiet but satisfying. Adam managed the cafe with care, chatting with loyal customers, while Ryan continued freelance security jobs, always observant. Their shared past had forged an unbreakable bond. They had survived the storm, and now, even ordinary days carried the weight of earned freedom. Despite the calm, Ryan never let his guard down completely. Chicago had taught him that threats could return when least expected. He kept watch discreetly from the cafe window, observing deliveries, unfamiliar faces, and late-night shadows. Adam occasionally noticed Ryan's cautious glances but said nothing. Trust had been tested before. They knew subtle vigilance was the price of peace. One rainy afternoon, a former employee from Mark's empire tried contacting Ryan. Nervous and fearful, she revealed more hidden secrets about Mark's remaining allies. Ryan listened quietly, filing mental notes. Adam joined the conversation, his calm voice reassuring. Together, they decided to let the authorities handle it, knowing the law would finish what their patience had started. Silence had become their most powerful weapon. Chicago winters returned with icy winds and early nights. The caf glowed warmly against the gray streets. Inside, Adam prepared coffee as Ryan updated logs of potential threats, never rushing. They had learned to merge caution with normal life seamlessly. Customers assumed they were just ordinary caf owners, unaware that behind the counter, two men had dismantled a powerful criminal empire through strategy and patience alone. Evenings became their favorite time. The caf quieted, lamps casting golden light on polished tables. Adam and Ryan reflected silently, appreciating the life they had regained. Words weren't necessary. Each small laugh, every customer's smile, reinforced their sense of accomplishment. They had achieved justice, reclaimed dignity, and built a peaceful existence without resorting to chaos or violence. Occasionally, they received letters of gratitude from people affected by Mark Reynolds' downfall. Local business owners, former employees, and even strangers praised their role in exposing corruption. Adam smiled at the thought of quiet justice, while Ryan nodded, knowing their careful planning had saved many from suffering similar to what Adam had endured. Their impact extended beyond personal revenge. A quiet night, a few months later, brought reflection. Adam looked out at the snow-covered street. Ryan joined him, hands in pockets, observing the city silently. They talked little, but words weren't needed. Their shared history, the dangers they survived, and the empire they dismantled bound them forever. The city pulsed below, oblivious to the careful orchestration that had restored justice quietly. The caf became a symbol of new beginnings not only for Adam and Ryan but for their community. Local customers appreciated the warm atmosphere, unaware of the silent battles fought behind the scenes. Even regulars could sense a calm confidence in the two friends. The scars of past struggles were invisible, yet they lent strength and depth to every decision and interaction in their daily lives. Ryan occasionally trained new security personnel, using lessons learned from their struggle. He emphasized observation, patience, and intelligence over brute force. Adam, meanwhile, nurtured his small team at the caf, teaching them resilience and the value of integrity. Both men had become teachers in their own right, shaping lives quietly while maintaining the peace they had fought so hard to achieve. One late winter evening, Adam served a regular customer with a genuine smile. Ryan checked security logs and glanced out the window. Both paused briefly, acknowledging their journey silently. They had survived, planned meticulously, and reclaimed life without compromising their principles. The past lingered only as a lesson, not a burden. Their friendship, strengthened by fire and patience, was now unbreakable. Spring arrived in Chicago, bringing warmth and light. Adam rearranged the caf, adding fresh flowers and small decorations. Ryan watched quietly, ensuring nothing disrupted their peaceful routine. Both men knew life could always throw challenges, but they were prepared. Their patience, intelligence, and teamwork had given them a life they could finally enjoy quiet, safe, and earn through strategy rather than brute force. Occasionally, old acquaintances stopped by the caf, curious about Adam and Ryan's story. They shared smiles and subtle nods but never detailed the past. Silence had become a language of its own between them. Outsiders assumed they were simple friends running a caf. Few guessed that these two men had meticulously dismantled one of the most powerful criminal empires in Chicago, using intelligence, patience, and courage. Ryan maintained his vigilance discreetly. He scanned deliveries, monitored neighborhood activity, and ensured no remnants of Mark Reynolds' associates threatened their peace. Adam focused on the caf and his customers, but he always listened when Ryan whispered observations. Together, they merged ordinary life with careful surveillance, balancing normalcy and preparedness perfectly, without alarming anyone around them. Evenings were their time for reflection. Adam poured coffee while Ryan sipped quietly, staring out the window at Chicago's streets. They spoke little, understanding that silence often carried more meaning than words. Their shared experiences, lessons from danger, and the empire they had toppled gave them an unspoken bond, unbreakable even in the quietest ordinary moments. Occasionally, They received letters from grateful locals whose lives had been indirectly improved by Mark Reynolds' downfall. Adam smiled at the recognition, while Ryan quietly noted patterns and warnings. Though revenge had been executed silently, its ripple effects had reached far beyond themselves. Justice, patience, and careful planning had touched lives they would never fully know. Winter returned 1 year later, bringing snow and cold winds. The cafe glowed warmly against the gray streets. Customers arrived, unaware of the journey Adam and Ryan had endured. Inside, the two friends continued to balance their lives with vigilance and calm. Every small task, every conversation, carried lessons of patience and intelligence, ensuring that the past would never threaten their present again. Ryan occasionally trained younger security personnel, teaching them observation, strategy, and restraint. Adam taught his staff the value of resilience and ethical behavior. Together, they shaped the next generation quietly. Their past, though full of danger and cunning, became a foundation for mentorship and guidance, proving that even through revenge, one could create lasting positive impact. Occasionally, Adam and Ryan shared subtle nods about the past, acknowledging their journey silently. Words were unnecessary. Their friendship had been tested by fire, betrayal, and danger, yet it remained unbroken. The city moved on, oblivious to the silent justice delivered months ago. They didn't need recognition, the quiet satisfaction of reclaimed life was enough. Late winter nights often found them closing the cafe together, the glow of lamps reflecting on polished counters. Adam cleaned tables, Ryan checked locks and security systems. They moved through routine calmly, aware of their strength and intelligence. Life had returned to its natural rhythm, ordinary yet filled with significance. Every day was proof of patience, planning, and friendship enduring trials. One final evening, as Chicago's skyline glimmered in the distance, Ryan whispered, "We didn't become the monsters we feared." Adam smiled, knowing their strategy, patience, and intellect had secured justice without losing themselves. They had reclaimed life, dignity, and peace. Together, they stepped into the future quietly, safely, and unshakably bonded, their silent victory complete.